2024 is finally here, and to bring in the new year with a bang, we've got the best lineup of the top 15 AAA titles you won't want to miss. From sequels and prequels to brand new titles set to launch, we've got you covered. Welcome to the top 15 must-play AAA video games of 2024. Landing at the number 15 spot, we kick off the list with the highly anticipated reboot of Fable 4. Taking place in the never-before-seen region of Albion, you'll find yourself in a landscape that has been destroyed by an asteroid. The asteroid was wished into existence by a mad king who took control of the tattered spire, the will-fueled tower from Fable 2. From what we can tell so far, it will be down to you to use time travel to save it. Playground Games, widely recognized for their racing titles, including the legendary Forza Horizon series, has crafted an open-world RPG with medieval elements, fantasy, and character development at the heart of the game. As Fable 4 gears up for launch on next-gen consoles, anticipate upgraded visuals showcasing forests, medieval towns, and fantasy-themed creatures scattered across this new expansive world. Playground Games faces the challenges of venturing into a completely new genre, and the expectations for this new edition of Fable are sky high. Nevertheless, brace yourself for major improvements and an enormous open-world environment compared to the earlier editions of the Fable franchise. Currently, Fable 4 is slated for release in the second half of 2024. Speaking of medieval and prehistoric times, at number 14 we have The Lost Wild. Dating back to a period when humans were certainly not at the top of the food chain, The Lost Wilds is set in an ancient forest where you'll encounter more dinosaurs and huge monsters rather than your typical forest animals. But, unlike what we were all taught in school about dinosaurs, they aren't wild and reckless in The Lost Wild. Instead, they behave like normal animals and don't just chase people down at the moment they see them. This survival mode game allows you to collect resources, craft tools, and build shelters to stay alive. Players are tasked with keeping themselves alive on an island that goes through various phases during the course of the game. Understanding your surroundings on the island and how or even when to move around is what this game is all about. Later in the game, a story develops as you run into an abandoned research facility with mysterious voices heard from the radio stations within them. This game will focus on tactics more than mechanics, which means there's no point in just picking a fight with dinosaurs. Instead, intimidating them without engaging in a fight and hiding from them when needed would be the wise choice. This is the first game to come out of Great Apes Games Studio, and from what's been showcased so far, it looks like a lot of work has been put into developing this title. Moving on from islands, at number 13 we have a title set to take place in the treacherous seas. Still Wakes the Deep is a first-person horror game that unfolds in the Bière d'Oil rig. Players will face the challenge of dealing with hazardous weather conditions, navigating small corridors, and all while striving to keep the oil rig intact. Developed by the renowned horror game developer, The Chinese Room, the overall gameplay aims to recreate the most intense situations faced by oil rigs located in remote locations, while also keeping you looking over your shoulder as you're being stalked by an unknown enemy. Players must confront the raw power of the North Sea, with resilience and mental strength being key factors in keeping yourself together. As the rig crumbles, the crew must figure out how to preserve it by utilizing various resources within the rig. The gameplay involves navigating through the dark and scary parts of the rig where visibility is limited and crawling and slithering through pipes to fix various damage. All in all, for those sea wanderers, this might be a game worth waiting for in 2024. At number 12, we have Metroid Prime 4. In 2019, Retro Studios announced that they were restarting the development of this game from scratch. We're now closing in on 5 years since that announcement, and the whole Nintendo community expects this game to launch in late 2024. The story of Metroid Prime 4 is set to continue from where it ended in Metroid Prime 3, where Samus Aran faced off against the evil Metroid Prime and her phase-on corruption. Now, Samus is set to deal with the aftermath of that battle and the overall implications it had on the galaxy. The game is expected to retain its first-person exploration mechanics with new visual improvements, as well as incorporating new game mechanics. Since Retro Studios came clean about dropping the old 2017 project and starting completely fresh, we can expect the game to be launched all guns blazing, with significant improvements compared to its predecessor titles, or at least a better, because expectations after a nearly 5-year wait couldn't be any higher. At number 11, we have the highly anticipated sequel, Senua's Saga: Hellblade 2. With its first edition, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, being a massive success, Hellblade 2 promises to dive even deeper into Norse mythology. The developers at Ninja Theory are behind the creation of Hellblade 2, and to be honest, they've already showcased an impressive trailer for the 2023 Game Awards. Senua once again battles with her hallucinations, which show up in the form of Norse giants and other horrific creatures. Her constant doubt of what's real and what's not is the essence of the game. Apparently, Ninja Theory has been in collaborations with mental health professionals to understand the complexities of the mental struggle and how they could incorporate it into the game through Senua's journey. With the game being developed in Unreal Engine 5, the graphics already look far better, and on top of that, the developers have been working hard to constantly give updates and new previews of what the game is going to look like. Remember Captain Titus? Yeah, well, he's back, and he's taking the number 10 spot with the return in Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, releasing in September 2024. This iconic Ultramarine hero is back and angrier than ever. Prepare yourselves for some traditional over-the-top Warhammer wars, which include swarms of Xenos, abominations like Carnifexes, Raveners, and Hive Tyrants. The developers, Saber Interactive, have announced this edition of Warhammer will include a co-op mode, allowing players to explore the large map with others, making the game way more community-oriented than ever before. Right away in the trailers, you will notice a completely immersive environment featuring a ton of iconic elements from the past title, including war-torn battlefields and dark tyrannid swarms, or some like to call them Tyranids. The official trailer has mentioned the launch date as September 9th, 2024, and if all falls into place, we shouldn't be seeing any delays to the launch. I'm sure sometime around early 2023, you probably saw a clip of a police officer walking into an old graffiti-ridden abandoned building searching for a fleeing suspect. It actually looked so realistic, it caused a ton of people to think it wasn't even a game at all, and it was real footage shot on a body camera. Well, in fact, it was not a video recording, but an upcoming FPS title set to debut in 2024 named Unrecorded. At number 9, we have a video game that seems to tell the story of a police officer from the perspective of his body camera. The game involves solving puzzles and helping the officer do his daily duties, which include attending various police situations. You'll have to solve cases using the information and clues left behind at the crime scenes, as well as constantly looking out for any unsuspecting nearby threats. This is a very unique approach to a video game in terms of visuals, and the footage that was released already attracted millions and millions of views. Hopefully, Unrecorded should be available to play sometime in late 2024. For number 8 on the list, we head back to the medieval ages with Blight Survival. This co-op focused horror game can be played with up to 4 players at a time and brings a very unique twist to the overcrowded zombie-killing genre. Blight Survival allows players to level up after completing challenges and gathering important items. A very unique and exciting element of this game is that when you repeat a challenge, you don't face the same boring repetitive set of tasks. No, not this time. Instead, you are taking on a different path every single time you complete the challenge. This key feature keeps the game dynamic and intense at all times. The inventory you come across has its advantages and flaws, making inventory management in this game key for leveling up and taking down enemies. Prepare yourself for jump scares and terrifying encounters, with strategic gameplay being a crucial part throughout. Navigating through eerie environments and staying calm is what will be most needed to complete this game. Overall, you can expect a realistic medieval environment with small doses of fantasy elements throughout the game. Nier Studio showcased the trailer in June 2023 and is expected to be available for download in the second half of this year. Staying in line with the horror theme, at number 7, we have the reboot of the horror survival classic Alone in the Dark. Pieces Interactive have decided to re-enter the spooky halls of the famous Dorsetto Manor. You get to choose to play as either Edward Carnby or Emily Hartwood. Both characters have entered the mansion to explore and find out if there's any truth to its horrifying past. As the game progresses, players uncover the disturbing secrets in a ton of hidden passages leading to other puzzles within the game. The whole game is set in a haunted environment where you will encounter scary creatures that have to be dealt with in very unique ways. You could take a stealth approach or go all brute force on these creatures depending on the situation you're in. If you're a horror game enthusiast, Alone in the Dark is for sure one of the best ones to look out for later this year. Another trailer that made waves during 2023 was Black Myth Wukong. At number 7, this action RPG game showcased one of the best and most exciting trailers of 2023. Sun Wukong is the main character played in this game, and he comes in the form of an aggressive monkey with magical powers. The gods have somehow managed to piss him off, and all he's focused on at the moment is creating massive destruction all over the world. The whole map features elements of Chinese origins, and the combat features martial arts moves that keep improving as the game goes on. The visuals showcased in the demo gameplay look absolutely amazing. Expect a ton of lore and final bosses in the form of huge mythological creatures in the game. Game Sign Studios is behind the making of the game, and if everything falls into place, we can expect the launch of Black Myth Wukong later this year. Fifth on the list, we have one of my personal all-time favorite franchises, Dragon Age Dreadwolf. This edition of Dragon Age is set to feature multiplayer components similar to that of Destiny. There will be a central hub for players to regroup, and the majority of the game involves recruiting players with different skill sets. There are improvements to the gameplay, which include players having the ability to take part in real-time action with the new hack-and-slash style combat system. There are some returning elements, as it has already been leaked that both Varric and Silas will both be returning to the main storyline, and we can only assume that more of the main characters will follow over as well. Graphics improvements along with responsive combat controls are some things that you will notice straight away. The initial leaked footage of the alpha gameplay showcased a lot of incomplete assets, but it did give a glimpse into what the final game would look like, and it does look very, very promising. Having been delayed multiple times after the initial tease back in 2015, it has been a long road for Dragon Age, but with the likes of two powerhouses in both BioWare and EA working on it, it's sure to be well worth the wait. Fourth on the list, we have Silent Hill 2. Developers have decided to breathe back life into the highly successful Silent Hill 2 title. This remake is set for players to relive the frantic episodes of James Sunderland in the haunting town of Silent Hill. The graphic improvements, along with way more eerie sound effects, will surely give you chills once again. James is set to battle his inner demons yet again while being surrounded by scary and terrifying creatures lurking in the dark. Silent Hill 2 was a huge success and a pretty intense game to play, and this remake will surely invite players to grind out the horror episodes yet again. Third on the list is none other than Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This sequel is the second part of the planned trilogy for the Final Fantasy VII Remake project. While the world and the characters are the same right away, you'll notice an improvement to the overall visuals of the game, along with a ton of new additions to the fighting mechanics going from turn-based to fast-paced and real-time. These changes feel like a real evolution for the franchise. The recent exclusive demo showcased the introduction of a new synergy system, along with numerous new abilities and a few new characters such as Vincent. The map is still as big as ever, offering new areas to explore on foot, and now chocobo rides have been introduced to spice things up and help with the speed of exploring so many new areas. Overall, everyone has high hopes for the game, and the developers have maintained the hype by showcasing a ton of upcoming content, including a hint towards the return of the Whispers of Fate. Number 2 on the list is Star Wars Outlaws. With Disney ending its exclusive licensing deal with EA, Star Wars Outlaws is set to be one of Ubisoft's most awaited titles this year. This new single-player, first-person shooter is set between The Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi. This open-world title involves a ton of exploring, and various quality-of-life improvements have also been implemented into the game as well. The lawless Outer Rim has a ton of areas to be explored, and making sure your ship is ready to pull off any heists will be necessary, as this is a new key element you'll notice right away. Star Wars Outlaws is anticipated to be packed full of action, with a focus on smuggling, bounty hunting, and space battles. Hopefully, Ubisoft is ready to make the most of this opportunity, and in turn, give us the best Star Wars title of them all. The Star Wars franchise is expected to launch a new game every year for the next 5 years, and hopefully Ubisoft does not disappoint. Outlaws does not have a definitive release date yet, but by going by what we've been told so far, it should release sometime later this year. Before we round out the list with the most anticipated game of 2024, it would be pretty awesome if you could give this video a thumbs up and flood us with some comments on the games that you're the most excited for. We're still a very new channel, and it would be really helpful if you could give us that like and comment to help us grow and allow us to keep making new gaming content for many years to come. And with that, we have coming in at the number 1 spot, Elden Ring, The Shadow of Erdtree. While this is not necessarily a full game in its own right, there's no denying the massive impact Elden Ring has had on the gaming industry after its release in 2022. It's about to set the world on fire once again with this DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree. In all honesty, it's been pretty frustrating with no recent announcements from the developers themselves, apart from a few leaks that were recently posted on this upcoming title. From what's been confirmed so far, the game is set to focus on the Erdtree itself, revealing more secrets about it as the game is played out. What's also confirmed is the introduction of newer places to explore, along with better and more beefed up bosses. Get ready to wander off and unlock the deepest secrets of the Golden Order's origins. Shadow of the Erdtree might take its own sweet time for release, but the overall success of Elden Ring has forced its developers to make sure the next DLC is bigger and better than ever. The wait for announcements and updates is surely frustrating, but it will be well worth the wait. And with that, we come to the end of the top AAA games to look out for in 2024. Which ones would you love to play? Let us know in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to subscribe with notification bells on, as we have a ton more videos lined up featuring the best games from every genre. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.